Hello, good afternoon. This is Sugalya Murugesan from ZSL. Welcome for the webinar, How Storage Can Make or Break Your Virtualization Initiatives. The speaker for today's session is Naidu Gantam, Senior Solution Architect, Enterprise Infrastructure, Idea Lab, the R&D division of ZSL. Naidu will discuss a few critical features that your SAN or NAS storage has to provide for successful server or desktop virtualization project. Since an efficient virtualization infrastructure is a requirement for a cloud computing deployment, and storage is a critical part of your enterprise future IT platform. During the presentation, all participants will be muted. You can submit your questions on the right-hand side of your screen using the chat window. We will answer some of the questions during the Q&A session that follows the presentation, or answer any remaining questions offline. So today's presentation will be recorded and posted to the ZSL's TV and webinar page. With that, I would like to turn the presentation over to Naidu. Welcome, Naidu.
Thanks, Sugalya. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever the case may be for you. Today I'm going to discuss some important features and of your storage infrastructure that could make or break your virtualization initiative. This is a quick agenda for today's session. I'll first start with talking a little bit about ZSL and my particular practice area, which is infrastructure and managed services. And then we'll jump into how virtualization impacts storage, what causes, what puts more demands on your storage infrastructure by virtualizing your servers. Then we'll discuss some key features that your storage system should provide for virtualization to work well. Then we'll talk a little bit about ZSL's data center services, and then we have some time for Q&A session. ZSL has been around for more than 15 years now, a global technology integrated and business solutions provider. We are headquartered in Edison, New Jersey, with technology and development centers in the U.S., Canada, and India. We have crossed the 4,000 employee mark earlier this year. We have offices just about around the world. We have a dedicated R&D division, of which I am part of, called Idea Lab. We provide value-added R&D services, both for our internal groups and also for our external customers. If they're looking at some new technology or a new product line that they're interested in, we partner with our customers to develop and do the R&D work for them. And we continue to have an emerging technologies specialization where we work with technology vendors, partner with technology vendors such as IBM, HP, Dell, to see what's on their roadmaps and see how that can be presented to our customers so that they can do their work more efficiently on their businesses, so that they're able to meet their business and technology challenges. And we have several vertical industry solutions in the insurance, finance, e-governance, consumer electronics, pharmaceuticals, and telecom fields. And we have several award-winning and proven partnership programs such as Get It Together, where we support ISVs, VARs, solution integrators, solution providers, and also our general customers. We are ISO and CMM certified. And coming to my specific practice area, it is enterprise infrastructure and managed services. Primarily, this group is based out of Edison, New Jersey in the U.S. and Chennai, India, part of Idea Lab, like I described before. And the portfolio of technologies that we focus on starts with virtualization, server, desktop, and private cloud implementations. We've also worked with a few customers who are moving some of their servers into public clouds, so we've done some work for them. And we also provide, data center and operating system services like Unix, Linux, and Windows. We do assessments, implementations, deployments, migrations, those kind of services that that are used by any typical IT organization. Plus, we do some managed services in the infrastructure area, managing servers, managing networks, running IT infrastructure for our customers and organizations. And we also provide cloud-based backup and recovery services where we are able to take your data, back it up into the cloud, and provide a way for you to recover in the case of a regular restore, or even in the case of you declaring a disaster and your data center not being available. So with that, let's dive right into today's topic, which is how storage can make or break your virtualization project. So what are some of the things that virtualization causes storage to do different things? So the storage capacity and performance management explodes when you start virtualizing. The main cause there is because it's so easy to start up a virtual machine, a virtual server. It's everybody starts up virtual machines, so you suddenly have a big sprawl of VMs, all using more or less the same data. The operating system data is the same, identical for similar types of virtual machines. And so you're basically have like going from a single server running single operating system, you have a single physical server now running multiple operating systems. So you have to store all those operating systems, all the application data, test and dev, and the production applications. And then the next big driver is the application to storage mapping. So to be able to monitor your applications, and now we have production and test and dev images of the same thing. Now you're providing more and more data coming from the same storage media, like a SAN or a NAS device. Hopefully you've moved on from direct attached storage. So now it's making more demands from the application side. And the next big thing is the backup and storage requirements totally change, because now instead of one server with its one network interface or multiple network interfaces trying to back up one operating system and one application, the same physical hardware is now trying to back up and restore several operating systems, several application loads. The next driver is storage provisioning and storage system upgrades and replacements. So storage provisioning is being able to provide gold images and being able to efficiently start up a virtual machine. So your storage system should be able to cache often used operating system images or application images so that the virtual machines come up very quickly. And storage system upgrades and replacements become quite challenging now because, instead of affecting a few machines, now you're affecting your entire infrastructure because you're virtualized, and the physical connections which were serving a single system now are serving multiple virtual machines. So there is more going on the same hardware platform that you had before. And storage system troubleshooting becomes a critical thing, along with disaster recovery planning and operations. Since again, one of the most critical problems most virtual deployments run into is operating system I/O load and performance. The number one complaint you often hear is that the application is not performing the same as it was on a similarly configured physical box. So, and often the onus is on the storage system administrator to prove that the I/O system is working well and it's providing all the IOPS that are required for the virtual environment. So what are some of the critical storage requirements in a virtual environment? Obviously, high performance reliability. No matter what storage system you choose, SAN, NAS, iSCSI, fiber channel, or 10 gig Ethernet, whatever you choose, most applications continue to require higher performance, and every day that performance requirement keeps going up. And of course, reliability cannot be compromised. So any storage system that you choose has to have its own built-in failover systems, either with RAID systems or providing out-of-box reliability, meaning if you have like one storage unit, if for a reason it goes offline, you should have a parallel multipath unit that can take over the load of that system. And there are several different ways to do this, both with fiber channel and iSCSI, and also with NAS devices, which provide NFS and CIFS kind of services. The other type of reliability that you should consider is also off-site storage, off-site replication, and reliability in case of your whole data center not being available. So that's something to think about. The next one is capacity management. Like I said before, server sprawl is a major factor in when you set up a virtualized environment for your servers. So since it is so easy to start up a VM with a server, often a lot of servers are up and running at the same time. So you have to have an efficient storage system which manages whatever capacity you have efficiently. For example, if you have a request from an application department saying they need 20 gigabytes of operating system space and 3 terabytes of data space. But, they might be thinking of using the 3 terabytes of data space in 3 years' time when the application reaches its maturity. But currently, they might be using only 500 gigabytes of it. So your storage system should be able to provide what is, I'm going to discuss the features next, but it should be able to provide what is called thin provisioning, so that only the 500 gig that is currently used is taken from the storage system, even though the application and the virtual machine thinks it has 3 terabytes of data space. So, that sort of efficiencies need to be brought to bear and to make capacity management more efficient. The next point here, efficient backups and restores. Without being able to restore your virtual machines and your physical servers in the case of a problem, your application providers are not going to trust your virtualized environment. So it's very critical that whatever storage system you choose also provides a good hook into your backup system on one side, and on the other side that it provides a good hook into your virtualization software, VMware, Hyper-V, or Citrix Zen, whichever you've chosen, so that it's able to, number one, take a image from the hypervisor, efficiently move it to your backup media, whatever it happens to be. And also it should be able to work closely with your hypervisor in case of a disaster. It should be efficiently able to move your storage to your disaster location, your secondary location, and start your applications there. The next item is controlling storage costs. So with all these features and all these demands on storage that are being made, it's very easy for your storage costs to start spiraling upwards and go out of control. So you have to keep a sharp eye on some of the technologies that you're considering for your storage system. If you do not have a fiber channel network, for example, now, you should seriously look at some of the iSCSI or fiber channel or Ethernet kind of technologies. If you really need fiber channel, of course, then you really do need a fiber channel. But you have to take a serious look at alternate technologies or what your infrastructure already provides and see if that's a good match for the applications that you're planning to run. The next key requirement in my mind is tiered storage and provisioning. Your storage system should be able to provide a different level of performance for different applications. It should be able to support solid state disks for database logs and caches, and it should be able to provide support for SAS and also SATA drives. Your storage system doesn't need to have like a single box that provides support for all these type of media, but it should have, even in a multi-box solution, it should efficiently provide some of these features so that, for example, a database server gets access to the SSD drives, whereas a data mining application is, running off SAS or SATA drives even, or if you have like a archiving product, it can run on, even slower SATA drives so that you're efficient in your operations and your storage costs. So those are some of the requirements that virtualization forces on storage administrators. So let's look at some of the key system features that address these requirements. So the first one, almost right out of the box, you have to decide is, am I going for a system that is a SAN or a NAS? There are a few systems that provide both, but in most cases you have to think, am I going for a SAN or a NAS, especially to serve your VM environment. You might still have a NAS system to work as a file server and have a separate SAN system to use with your virtual environment. So if you choose SAN, again, you have a choice of transport layers. Do I use fiber channel? Do I use iSCSI? Do I use fiber channel over Ethernet? So with each of these choices, again, you have to look at what is my current infrastructure? Is it already getting old and is it due for an upgrade? In that case, you might want to consider a 10 gig Ethernet network, or if your performance requires it, maybe you can look into investing in fiber channel. And perhaps what you have there is already good to deploy a iSCSI SAN with jumbo frame. So make sure your network devices like your switches and routers support jumbo frames, and if not, and at the very least, they should be also supporting VLANs and VLAN tagging and those kind of features. Coming to the NAS technologies, there are really two major choices. Do you use NFS or do you use CIFS, which is more of a Microsoft and Windows protocol? And NFS is more widely used for VM environments, but with Hyper-V coming in and making more and more of a dent in the hypervisor market, CIFS is also beginning to play a major role in VM environments. The next feature that is key is what are sometimes called snapshots, and also generically the feature is called copy on write. So what it is essentially is a quick way to make a second or third copy of your existing data. The snapshots, you can very quickly get a clone of your data within a few minutes and or even a few seconds, depending on the size of your data and the type of system you have. You can get a quick snapshot of your data, and what it does is creates a second image of your data with pointers back to the original data, and then it only copies the blocks that are changed in the first instance. So you can create a snapshot of your production database, and the snapshot is then used for for reports or for backups or for test dev scenarios. or for data mining, or even for migration, that sort of thing. So, but a snapshot really is not a substitute for backup, even though I've seen in some cases people use snapshots as backups. It really does not protect you in case of the SAN itself not being available. So, if your SAN is gone, the primary data is gone, and also all its snapshots are gone as well. So again, you need to still have a backup to protect you in case of your SAN being unavailable. The next important feature is thin provisioning. We had earlier talked about managing your storage capacity. Thin provisioning plays a very key role in that. Just a few years ago, thin provisioning was a feature that was supported by very few vendors of SANs. Now it's like a common feature. It's available almost universally. So, but make sure the thin provisioning that they provide works well for your environment, that it has the features that you're looking for. There are some thin provisioning implementations that are slightly more efficient than others. There are thin provisioning rules that some SAN systems impose that might create more problems than solve problems for you. So this is something that you want to discuss with your SAN vendor when you're choosing a solution. Again, with the VM sprawl, this is a very important provision, very important feature to have, where only the data that you're actually using is consumed from the SAN, and the VM or the application continues to think that there is all the data, all the space assigned to it. Okay, the next one is hypervisor integrated replication and backup recovery. What I mean here is that your SAN should have close integration on one side with your hypervisor, so that it's able to take efficient backups and send them off to your backup medium. And also, it should be able to support replication in the case of your primary site being unavailable. Your secondary site should have the latest data, or based on your RTO and RPO and parameters, it should be able to. For example, VMware has a site recovery manager software and option where they're able to efficiently recover your virtual machines on an alternate site, say if your primary site is not available. So if you have a storage system that is SRM aware or can work or is well integrated with SRM, your disaster recovery procedures, your replication procedures work that much well, and you should be able to efficiently come up. Your storage system should not be the bottleneck when you have a disaster and you're ready to restore operations in a secondary site. Tier storage, we spoke about this earlier. So a fully integrated storage tiering would provide SSD, SATA, SAS, depending on the application, depending on the type of internal customer you're dealing with. So, a transaction processing application might require SSD caching upfront with writing to SAS, and then, you might use data drives for an archiving application or even maybe a web server. So it does not need to provide all three tiers or 3 or 4 levels of disk performance in the same cabinet, but it should be able to provide it as a whole system. So there are some vendors like Compellent that have what they call automated tiering. So they look at an application and the blocks that are being used, and the blocks that are being written and read from often are moved to the most efficient devices. So, and data that's not being accessed often is slowly transitioned from, from SSD to SAS, from SAS to SATA, as might be the case. Storage provisioning and imaging. This is again a important stepping stone to make your virtual platform, your virtual machine environment, to take it to the next level into cloud computing. So if you have a storage system which provides efficient provisioning and imaging, it becomes a very key foundation stone for setting up cloud services within your environment. Being able to quickly bring up instances in a private cloud is again a critical requirement, because if your users know they can shut down a VM and when they don't need it, but they can quickly bring it up when they need it, they are more likely to not waste resources and shut down resources when they don't require. So that's where it's going to drive your efficiencies. If your storage system is slow and the users know it is going to take 5 minutes versus 1 minute to bring up a cloud instance, then they'll be a little more hesitant to shut down an instance when it's not required. They know there is this 5-minute delay versus a 1 minute or 30-second delay with a more efficient storage system. Okay, so I just wanted to give some highlights of how to manage your storage in a virtual environment. It brings its own level of challenges. It is different from having a SAN in a non-virtualized environment. So it brings its own set of challenges. So you really need to know your storage workload. So you cannot separate the storage administrators from the other administrators in your IT environment. They have to work closely with the application developers, with the virtualization administrators, and also the network administrators, because your storage needs are going to be the key to an efficient virtual environment. Also, you need to work with your application developers, with your backup administrators, to make sure that you're avoiding intense disk I/O. So you probably should be using features like snapshots and other such features and thin provisioning to make sure that you're providing all the performance, all the IOPS that are required, but you're not overdoing it so that your virtual environment runs efficiently. Using space efficiently. Again, make sure that you're using thin provisioning, that you're when you use snapshots, don't go trigger happy with snapshots. Make sure that the snapshots that are there for a purpose. I would suggest that you implement a snapshot expiry policy, that any snapshots that's more than X number of days old, is basically deleted. That keeps it both the primary storage and also the snapshots efficient, and again, storage usage is critical. Avoiding unnecessary I/O operations. This really links in with the second point here. If things can be done more efficiently, if you can do it, do a backup and a restore directly from your storage array, please look at that. Instead of bringing the data into the VM and then manipulating it and then taking a backup from there, if the backup can be taken straight from your storage device, then you have avoided traffic on your network, you have avoided traffic on your VM infrastructure, and you have more efficiently used your virtual machines to do real work. And the last one is a little bit of an obvious one. Use the right storage for your workload. Again, goes into this tiered storage, and also knowing, do you need to use fiber channel, or, those kind of fundamental questions. And also, don't use like a super duper SSD drive for a web application that is serving our static pages. Doesn't make any sense at all unless like you're like a you're serving out millions of pages per second. So we use the right storage for the right application. Before I go to the Q&A, I just wanted to talk a few things about what VSL can help you in this area. We've done a lot of projects with virtualization and cloud computing, setting up private clouds. So feel free to contact us so that we can work with you in providing data center as a service. We've deployed several virtual desktop initiative VDI deployments, and also we've done a lot of work with VMware, Hyper-V, and also Citrix Zen Server. And also we work with storage vendors such as EMC, Ecologic, Compellent, and IBM. So we bring expertise from various different areas, and we should be able to help you run a more efficient virtual infrastructure and also your storage system. So with that, we can go to the Q&A session, and my contact info is up on the screen, so feel free to contact me if you have any additional questions or any other questions.
Thank you, Naidu. So the Q&A session is now open. You can post your questions on the chat window that's present on the right-hand side of your screen. So we have a couple of questions posted. So the first is, can you please give an idea of some storage vendors that support the features you discussed today?
Like I said earlier, nowadays just about every vendor supports some of the features. In the early going, snapshotting was only available from a few top-tier vendors like EMC and IBM, but now Ecologic, Compellent, just about everybody supports it. Even some of the NAS vendors like NetApp and Blue Arc have started supporting snapshots. So their NAS systems are VM aware. They work very well with VMware, and also increasingly they are supporting Hyper-V and Citrix. So they are very hypervisor aware, and they support all the snapshotting. Thin provisioning is also available from all the vendors. One of the other vendors I forgot to mention earlier is Hitachi Data System, HDS. They, of course, have been in the SAN business for a long, long time, and they support both thin provisioning and also snapshotting in addition to other features.
Okay. The other question is, so how ZSL can help enterprises with their virtualization and storage requirements?
Like I said earlier, we work closely with both the virtualization vendors like VMware, Citrix, and Microsoft. And we also work with the storage vendors like Compellent, now part of Dell, Ecologic, which is also Dell. Then we work with EMC with their VNX and other storage that they have. And then we also have a close relationship with Hitachi Systems and Blue Arc. So we are able to provide you the central glue, which brings in the hypervisor vendors and the storage vendors, and we can be the one-stop shop to serve your entire virtualization needs, from storage to networking to servers, and also support for the operating system and applications as well.
Okay. So any more questions? So for any additional questions, email us at info@zslinc.com or call us at 732-549-9770. So this webinar will be posted on ZSL's TV and webinar page. So thank you, Naidu. So I would like to thank everyone again for joining us on today's webinar.
Thank you,
Have a
Sugalya.
great day.